Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings and a whole lot of love. God is hot there. You must always protect your energy that you might have picked up, because energy is never destroyed. It is always transferred. That's why you must be mindful and careful of the people that you allow in your environment, in your relationships that you have with people. Negative energy period, is transferred but never destroyed. That's why you have to perform some type of ritual each and every day to make sure your energy is intact. God is hot there. So, it's a little chilly. I cut the heat on. So, because I have been married to a toxic individual who is also a toxic parent, and it's the parent's duty to protect their child from anyone that may jeopardize their emotional and mental and spiritual well-being. And if that includes the other parent, then so be it, because it's your responsibility to provide and protect your child. And if you have a toxic parent, then you have to remove that parent from that child's life, because you want your child to continue growing mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy. And when the parent is toxic, it can affect that child in a negative way, and that child will begin to have issues in his or her life. I work with children and have been working with early childhood, in the early childhood education field for 23 years. And each year it just gets worse, because we're coming across a lot of children that are angry. And you have to have the knowledge and the compassion, understanding to deal with these children that have these behavior issues, these emotional issues. I'm not talking with a child that has Down syndrome or autism or some mental issue. I'm talking about children that are very, very angry. And their anger comes out in their behavior. They can be disrespectful to authority. They can have aggressive behaviors, which is going to affect their learning. So you as a parent have to make conscious choices and the right choices when you decide to have a baby by a person. And if you realize that this person is not benefiting your child in a positive manner, what they're not setting good examples for their child, they're not a good role model, they are continue lying to the child and just not doing right by putting that child first, then that parent has to go. No ands, if, buts about it. Peace and blessing. And sometimes the child is better off without having that parent a part of their life. Because that parent, that toxic parent, can and will affect that child's life in a negative way. So let me go ahead and read this article, 13 Signs of a Toxic Parent That Many Don't Realize. Number 1, they fail to provide you with affirmation and security. Some people believe that showing tough love is an important way to ensure that their children are able to take care of themselves in the future. If you are the recipient of this approach on a regular basis, you might even believe that this has had a positive impact on your life. However, if you practically fall apart now because of any perceived failure or rejection, then this most likely stems from a parent's toxic refusal to provide you with the right amount of security and affirmation while you were young. Tough love might work sometimes, but it cannot be the only approach a parent takes if they want their child to become a well-rounded adult. Number 2, they are overly critical. Everyone's parent criticizes from time to time. Without this component, we might never learn how to do numerous things properly, such as everyday chores like washing laundry. A toxic parent takes this to the extreme by being overly critical about everything the child does. Parents can make the mistake of believing that they do this to make sure their children avoid making costly mistakes. Unfortunately, what this behavior really does is causing the child to develop a harsh inner critic that can be borderline crippling during adulthood. They do not allow you to express negative emotions. Parents who refuse to nurture their child's emotional needs and make light of their negative emotions are setting up a future where the child will feel unable to express what they need. That's why I told my daughter, you have a voice. Use your voice. There is nothing wrong with helping children see the positive side of any situation. However, being completely dismissive of a child's negative feelings and emotional needs can lead to depression and make it more difficult for them to appropriately handle negativity as adults. They always put their feelings first. Parents may believe that their feelings should come first during family matters, but this is an antiquated way of thinking that is not going to foster positive relationships. Even though parents do need to make the final decision about everything from dinner to vacation plans, it is necessary to consider the feelings of every family member, including the children. Toxic individuals constantly force children to suppress their own feelings in order to appease the parents. Here are some more signs that you may have a toxic parent. Let me just give a definition of the toxic parent. The term toxic parent is a bit nebulous, and we probably all define it differently. Often, this word I cannot pronounce. Narcissistic are those with other personality disorder or mental illnesses. Abusive, emotionally immature, and alcoholic or addicted parents are labeled as toxic. And that word I can't pronounce is Narcissistic. I suggest you go look up the signs of that and the meaning of that word. Young children, even those with toxic parents, assume that their parents are typical without any basis for comparison. You think other families operate by the same dysfunctional rules and that everyone's parents are cruel, unavailable, or controlling. Eventually, however, you realize that emotionally healthy parents show genuine concerns for their children's feelings, encourage them to follow their dreams, apologize when they screw up, and talk about problems in a respectful way. You realize that your parents are different. My children has always been first. No man will ever come before my children. Never, ever, ever. And if that man is not emotionally and mentally and spiritually healthy and is not trying to better himself, then he needs to be removed from my child's life. Because I am trying to raise well-rounded adults. I do not want my children growing up resenting me because I stayed with a man that was not right. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Because a lot of mothers or fathers tend to stay with a toxic person in hopes that's going to benefit the child in a positive way. No, no, no. That child will grow up resenting that parent for being weak and stupid. Staying with someone who wasn't benefiting them in a positive manner. Toxic parents causes a lot of pain and lasting psychological problems for their children. The good news is that it's possible to overcome the effects of a toxic parent. The first step is to be aware of what it really means to have a toxic parent and recognize the particular ways that your parents are dysfunctional and emotionally unhealthy. Anytime a man can get intoxicated by abusing alcohol and takes his child to the store, staggering and slurring his words, but at the same time trying to pick up females in front of his daughter, telling them to call him later, stop by his house when his wife is upstairs, that's a toxic parent. Anytime your child cries to you and asks you to please stop getting drunk, but you continue to do it, you have no respect for your child. Anytime you go out there and betray your family because you chose to be community dick and sleep around on your wife and not thinking that your behaviors is not going to affect your child, something is wrong with you. Let's go on and finish reading this article. Signs you have a toxic parent. Self-centered and have a limited capacity for empathy. They always put their own needs first and don't consider other people's needs or feelings, including their children. They don't think about how their behavior impacts others, and they have a hard time understanding how other people feel. Disrespectful. They fail to treat you with even a basic level of respect, courtesy, and kindness. Emotionally reactive. Toxic parents often have difficulty controlling their emotions. They overact, are dramatic, or unpredictable. Controlling. Angry, critical, manipulative. They twist the truth to make themselves look good, using guilt, denial, and trivializing to get what they want, including blaming the other parents for the actions of them. You are grown. No person can make you do something that you don't want to do. But yet, they will blame someone else for something they may have done. Blaming, demanding. Blaming they don't take responsibility for their own behaviors, won't own their part in the family dysfunction, and blaming it all on you or another scapegoat. Demanding, embarrassing. They behave so poorly that you embarrassed to be associated with them. And this is one reason why my daughter wants to change her last name. Your parents have an unhealthy reliance on you. Competitive. And the last time that you have a toxic parent is about how you feel rather than what they do. You feel bad when you talk to them, spend time with, or think about them. You feel worse after an encounter with your parents. You dread talking to them. And even the thought of your toxic parent can cause your body to tense up and your stomach to churn. Painful memories may surface. Their negative energy taints everything they touch. If you have toxic parents, you probably were encouraged to have your own feelings, so you might not be used to noticing them. So be sure to pay attention to your feelings and notice whether your parents trigger feelings of anger, sadness, guilt, shame, and or other negative emotions. And I like to share my experience, and that's why I read certain articles, because the one thing someone going to have said to me, well, the adults you only have to do with the adults. That's a lie. Go do your research. And I want to bring up this, I remember I used to say ask my daughter, did you call your dad yet? Or did you call him back? She used to get nervous. Her stomach used to hurt because she really didn't want to talk to him. And this child is not even a grown-up yet. And I remember when we found out about the cheating, and I decided I'm going to talk to him on the phone and I'm going to forgive him. She didn't want to have nothing to do with him even at the age of 10, because she knew that was wrong. And now, when you ask her, do you want to call your father? She be like, no. I'm not thinking about him. I have my brothers. And I'm grateful that I do have good sons who have shown her how a man's supposed to treat a woman by the way they treat their girlfriends. They're not married, but they treat their girlfriends with the utmost respect. I'm glad that she see how a man's supposed to treat his children. Treat how a man's supposed to treat his children. She's seen good examples of that. So anything that she needs, she's going to go to her brothers. And it's sad. As a mom, I had to sit down. And I have been hard on myself because I chose that man when all the signs were there. I chose him. But my daughter is well-rounded. She knows her worth. She's not promiscuous. She's not out there smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, drinking, and sneaking out the house all hours of the night. She's not at parties. She's not hugged up in the corner with some fucking boys. She's not on the phone talking to boys all over all hours of the night because she's looking for love in a boy because she didn't get it from her father. So she doesn't have none of the negative effects that little girls her age may have because the father did them dirty. So I'm here to tell you, you never stay with a man for the sake of your child because you're not teaching your child to do right. You are teaching your child to put up with shit because you don't love yourself. If that man is toxic, if that man out there cheating on you, abusing you in any way, shape, or form, if he's manipulating you, if he's constantly lying, if he can't keep a job, that's somebody you shouldn't want to be with. Because at the end of the day, whatever you do as a mom, that's what that child gonna follow. And if you show a lack of self-love and respect for yourself and you don't know your worth, that's the type of daughter you're gonna raise. And then that daughter is going to repeat history because the daughter going to do the same thing she saw her mother do. So it's very important for a woman to love herself, to respect herself, and to know her worth. And not look for these things in a man that can't give you that, because it should come from self. Peace and blessings and a whole lot of love. God is Hadia.